my childhood in a way, because growing up in a traumatic childhood, sometimes you become a people pleaser, trying to please, and to not get, abused or whatever. Right. So that naturally for me turned into always being hyper vigilant of paying attention to stuff. Right. So from that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be selfish in this matter. Of course, I would love to be a stay-at-home mom, but I understand that it takes work to get there. Right. A man is not going to just, it's fortunate to just be there. That's ideally, that's what you're supposed to do. Yep, ideally, you don't sign up for the struggle of, and I believe that's why a lot of marriages end, because you get married so early, and it's hard growing up together. It's hard doing that together. But if you're already a man who's in a good position, and then you are able to then choose a wife and bring her into your kingdom in a way, right. You set yourself up to be in more control, and not in the sense of control of trying to control her, but in the sense of how your relationship will move and where the direction and flow of the relationship will go. And it's on one accord, not so much she's fighting with you, but y'all working together, because that's really what it's about. Finances too, that's huge. It's not about who makes more money, but how y'all can do it together.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Daily Wrap Up Crew. No Booker, but I go by the name of Eli. As always, we got Jew with us. You next to me, so it just made sense.
Okay, what to do? I'm here with my crew. If you ain't preaching happy spouse, happy house, then watch your mouth.
Okay, last but not least, we got Ace.
I just want to shout out my Haze Con shorts, and on that note, it's a good thing the bars are smoking, because I don't. You heard they used to go too far.
I respect it. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, we got some special guests in the building. Let them know where they can follow y'all at.
Hi, my name is Star. I'm from Ace and Star TV.
All right, I'm Ace from Ace and Star TV. Lawyer by day, professional shit talker by night. So y'all can follow us at Ace and Star TV on everything: TikTok, YouTube, IG.
That boy sounded like he was a superhero and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Last but not least, Rob, let them know where they can follow y'all at.
What's up, Blueprint Family? We have our show, The Blueprint Family Jewels, on YouTube, and then also Instagram as well.
Oh, my name is Dee, lovely wife of my husband, Rob.
Okay.
And Wifeconomics.
Oh, wifeconomics.com. Check that out.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
Listen, man, we got a great episode tuned in for y'all. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if y'all not subscribed already. Cop the merch. Oh yeah, we all got the merch on. Like I'm looking at Ace, like he the only one. We all got the merch. DailyRapperCrew.co, and join that membership, man. We got a lot of exclusive behind the scenes, early access. We got some interviews coming up. I don't want to ruin stuff, you know what I mean? But just stay tuned, man. Let me get to this first topic, right?
I'm saying Juice in like he at church.
I ain't got no church. We did this for y'all. You niggas can't fit on this couch, y'all.
Listen, let me get to this first topic. What values do you think people should look for when finding a significant other? And I want to start over here on this side. So,
people should invest in actually looking for who the person is, who they are as a person, not what they have. People prioritize what they have, like a lot of women do, honestly, and that's sickening to me. Like, they don't bother to care for who they are, investing in who the man is, who they're dating. So just take the time out to actually know who they're dating. If they feel secure with their man, do they trust their word from their man? A lot of women just prioritize different things nowadays. I don't agree with it, but they don't actually care for the man. So
yeah. Ace, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, if you're a man, I mean, look for a girl that cares about you. I mean, it's kind of difficult to ascertain that depending on the circumstances under which you meet them. But, you know, if she takes time to, I guess, put thought into the hobbies that you have, pays attention to things that you like. So, for example, I don't know, if you're a gamer, she brings you food while you gaming, or, you know, something thoughtful to help you to do the things that you like to do, the things that you want to do. And if those are things that kind of come to her, if that's something that comes to her naturally, then I think that might be, you know, something that you could deal with.
That's fair. That's fair. Rob and D, what's your thoughts on this? What value should people look for in a significant other?
Someone who's providing service, someone who doesn't mind providing service to each other. You can't build a relationship without understanding that it's not 50-50 all the time. So often at times what you have to do is pick up the slack, especially if you have children in the relationship, or if someone's ill or sick or what have you, or out of work or what have you. It's a team work effort. It's not about I, it's about we. Yeah. So that's what a lot of people, a lot of young people don't get about relationships, is that it is a teamwork effort, and you have to be of service to each other.
Yep. I think in particular, selflessness. If you can look for a person who identifies as being selfless in the way that they operate, are they paying attention to, how they're treating other people? Men, look at the way the woman treats when somebody's serving her. Is she saying thank you? Is she being kind? Is she being smiling? Is she generous as much as you should also be generous? Of course, women need a provider. That is huge. You got to be a provider. You got to be a protector. I think one good identifying quality that a woman should look for is if a man has taken the time to channel that inner aggression that a boy kind of has and turns it into assertiveness. That is a great quality for a man, because that assertiveness will really help in the way he leads and in the way that you're able to allow him to take control and take charge in a way. So selflessness, assertiveness, that's huge. Being kind, loving. She hit on that perfectly. Look for how the person is as a person, like, do you like them genuinely as a person? If you can see that in them, do they make you feel good, that energy wise? Are they sweet? All that matters. It's really, really important too.
I got a question since we're on this topic. Do y'all recall what was the thing that made y'all look at your partner like this might be the one? Like, not to put y'all on the spot.
Nah, for me, it's not a one moment type of thing, but because we were together for a long time before we got married, but still, it was a series of things where it's just like, that you can always count on this person to be there when you need them. Okay. When you're sick, like, she takes care of me when I'm sick, even before, like, so for example, you hear a lot of women say, don't do wife duties for your boyfriend before you ever get married, right? But like, she took care of me when I was sick, stuff like that, way before we ever got married. And I feel like that was one thing, for example, to let me know that she would be valid in the future. You know what I mean? Right. And then, for example, I don't know, we watch all type of stupid shit on the internet, but like when the topic of prenups came up, like, she didn't start acting funny. You know what I mean? Like, cause like I got my job, like, but she didn't start acting like, are you a lawyer? Let me see what you know what I mean? Let me what might happen when you leave me? Let me get it wasn't none of that. You know what I mean? She was fine to do whatever, just she wasn't even worried about that. She was more worried about the relationship, like like she said, the relationship that we had together.
That's beautiful.
Just for me, when it came for him, it was just the simple things of him being funny. I love the fact that he constantly makes me laugh. He's very intelligent. Like, I love picking at his brain, like the conversations that we have all the time. I just love just asking about everything, and him telling me like about life itself. Like, we have deep conversations. I love that. Yes. So it's just little things for me, like, in spending time. Like, he's always asking me, oh, let's do stuff. I don't care what we do. Like, we can just be chilling in the house watching watching TV. You can be playing video games. I don't care what we do. I just
most girls be trying to go
spending time with him.
I'm trying to take
yeah.
I'm
He's
trying
constantly trying to make sure that I'm entertained. I'm like,
Right.
we don't have to do anything. Like, I just like your company. That's it.
Right. Yeah, I have to co-sign on that intellect. That was my when I first met my husband, the very first day, he just exemplified being able to teach me things and help me grow. And as a woman, I'm younger than him. So I didn't have a father in my life either. So to be able to see a man step up and be willing to talk to me in a way that I can learn from him, that showed that, I can trust you to lead me and guide me, because you're doing this now. You don't have any like intentions towards like why you're telling me this stuff, but you're just dropping knowledge on me just because you got it. And that, it was a huge thing for me, where I was like, okay, this is nice. Like, I feel like I feel like with him, you can drop us off anywhere and I know we'll make it.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, because we're together. So it's like, we're good. Like, and that's just, that comfort allows you to like rest in your femininity and be like, okay, I can let him lead.
With you guys saying that, I know sometimes, people take roles as in it's a job or you're forced to do it. How do you separate that and understand that this may be a part that you have to do to make the relationship work without it feeling like it's your job? and it's just to help your partner instead.
You mean as in the way of providing your roles in the relationship?
Yeah, because a
not
lot of
making
people argue the roles.
Okay.
So we want, from a strong relationship, marriage perspective, how do you guys handle roles or?
Well, it's about who's comfortable doing what, who naturally,
Mhm.
without
Facts.
hard work effort, it just flows. It's natural, and then it's playing towards those strengths.
Mhm.
So if you're in a relationship, if one person is stronger and better at doing something than you are, then you should naturally feel the urge to, okay, I can take on this, and then I'll help you in this way because I'm better at that.
Right.
So it's kind of just knowing your strengths and who can provide the best in that role in a way.
Definitely.
So naturally, in the general term, we always know the man biologically is wired to be a provider and a protector. That's like your biological wiring.
Mhm.
So naturally, it's easy for y'all to step into that role.
Definitely.
Women, we're naturally nurturers.
Nurturing.
That coming down to our physique.
Mhm.
That's who we are. We nurture a baby. We nurture all of that. That's just who we are. So if you're allowed to just kind of in a way surrender to yourself and what you see you're naturally good at, then you're able to grow in that. And especially if you have a spouse that creates an environment where it's encouraged and you are comfortable doing that, it just makes it all easier. And I think kind of the skewed aspect that it is a job will make it feel more
Like a
like
job.
work. Yeah. Don't
Like
even
a
think of
job.
it that way. The way your perspective and everything really helps define how you're going to operate. Because if you're operating like, even from sex, if you think like, oh, sex is a job, or oh, sex is something I gotta do,
Right.
you're going to be a little, I don't feel like doing this. Oh, I don't feel like this.
Yeah.
Or when you don't feel like doing it. But if you look at it as an opportunity to connect with your spouse, I'm referring to like the sex aspect. If you're looking at it as a connecting opportunity, as an opportunity to build and grow within, coming close together, then it's less likely that you'll take on, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Because then you're just like, I feel like connecting with you. I feel like being close to you, So kind of perspective plays a huge part in that, from jump, I think.
Definitely.
I feel like that demonstrates a flaw in a relationship, though, right? If you feel like, when these so-called duties pop up on your side and you feel like, why should I have to do that? If you don't automatically want to feel like you need to do that or want to do that for that person, or you see a gap in what they need and you don't rush to fill that, then I feel like there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Because how are you just sitting there? I should just exist in this relationship and get whatever I'm getting without having to provide anything. That type of freeloading, stealing mentality is how dudes be getting finessed and people be ending up in relationships with people who you thought you knew this person, but in reality, they don't actually care anything about you. And you don't figure that out until they taking your house in the divorce.
It's
or
too
something
late.
like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I do want to get to something you said earlier, Rob, about 50-50. Obviously, when we have these conversations about 50-50, is always such a divisive conversation. So I want to ask y'all, like, what are some ways that y'all together contribute to the finances, within a marriage?
Well, pretty much my wife is a stay-at-home mother. I've retired my wife early in our relationship, and I'm of course the breadwinner. But what she did to contribute to that was she got us to where we were at today. So basically, she helped pay off my credit card bills. So after she graduated college, she worked. I helped get her a job. She helped pay off my credit cards so that I'm in good standings in order to own a home. And I was already in a career. She helped me to advance in my career by being a wife early before we were even married. She would help make my breakfast in the morning. She would make my lunch, cook dinner for me. And like I said, she would also she would work also too in the same place where we work at. And then
I was in the warehouse. He was in the office.
Work to clear my debts so that I can own a home and then start a family with her.
Yeah.
So I basically told her that I owe my whole life to you, for that. So as far as finances, I pretty much am the provider. I'm the sole provider for my family. But also too, my wife, being a stay-at-home mother, you see, the thing is that you can't put a value to that. Being a stay-at-home mother, I mean, the salary for that has to be around like $300,000 a year. That's your nurse when you're sick. That's your short order cook. That's your chef, your sous chef. She does all that. Your maid. Homeschool, because she homeschools our children. And daycare. I mean, how can you put a price tag on that? That's priceless.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what she actually brings more of a value to our relationship and to our household than I would say that I do. I do make six figures. I work in public service procurement management for our state finance, dealing with retirements. But the thing is, even though that I have a great career, she brought that. She brought
Yeah.
about that. I just was there in the role. I fulfilled the position at work, and I kept advancing, and I owed it all to her. And I promised that I'm going to, squeeze every penny out of this career that I possibly can, and I owe it back to my family.
Yeah, I want to just point that this was a team effort that we acknowledged by sitting down. When you talked about finances, right? So one of the first things we did, we got together young. So you're talking about very young. We didn't have much. So when that happened, we knew we had to have a plan. Well, I was fresh out of college with no career, no job, nothing, but, a degree. He was already in a job. He just graduated too, was in a job and stuff though. So from there we said, okay, well, what do we want our life to look like after this? We know we're not going to be here. So what do we want it to look like? He said, well, I would love to be the full provider. Okay, so how can we do this? How can we get you to the point where you're doing that? And then we sat down together and figured out, okay, well, if I can work here, he was working in the office. He got me a job in the warehouse. I was able to then work, and we figured out budgeting. Hey, if we can pay off our credit cards here, then we can get, your credit score up. I didn't have a credit score, so it made more sense for me to help invest in him doing that because it was quicker. We could get to our destination faster. So that was our focus. We were like, okay, if I can help do this, and work that way, and then apply for jobs constantly. He, was working hard sometimes after work. If I didn't, have anything throughout the day, I was applying for jobs for him to help get into other, careers. I was helping him out with schoolwork until he had finished. He, continued his career a little more with schooling. So I was helping out with that, figuring out ways that I could help put him into the position to where we agreed, okay, you're going to be the provider. This is also how we can get there. And then after that, what is it going to look like? Me as a stay-at-home mom, having kids, am I going to homeschool? How are we going to prepare for that? And just being in a constant motion of planning and moving towards goals, checking goals off together, not a competition. I wasn't interested in competing with my man just because I had a degree. That wasn't my focus. I wanted to be with him. I realized that we are better and stronger together, and that if I could put my money, make it our money, then we together can advance in a much better place than where we were. And it worked. It got us here. But it required selflessness. And that's why I said that was so important, because that was the number one thing that I honestly took from my childhood in a way, because growing up in a traumatic childhood, sometimes you become a people pleaser, trying to please, and to not get, abused or whatever. So that naturally for me turned into always being hyper vigilant of paying attention to stuff. So from that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be selfish in this matter. Of course, I would love to be a stay-at-home mom, but I understand that it takes work to get there. A man is not going to just, it's fortunate to just be there. That's ideally, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yep,
ideally, you don't sign up for the struggle of, and I believe that's why a lot of marriages end, because you get married so early, and it's hard growing up together. It's hard doing that together. But if you're already a man who's in a good position, and then you are able to then choose a wife and bring her into your kingdom in a way, you set yourself up to be in more control. And not in the sense of control of trying to control her, but in the sense of how your relationship will move and where the direction and flow of the relationship will go. And it's on one accord, not so much she's fighting with you, but y'all working together, because that's really what it's about. Finances too. That's huge. It's not about who makes more money, but how y'all can do it together.
That's beautiful.
That was really cool.
Star and Ace, I do want to get to y'all as well, because right now in society we do have more women working in the workforce and stuff like that. Inflation is up there, like, you get what I'm saying? So
Toilet paper rolls cost more money.
you know what I mean? So obviously a lot of guys would like to be in a position where they could be a full-time provider, but depending on where you live, it can be kind of difficult, especially in New York, when they say 100K is equivalent to like 36,000. Like, that's kind of tough. Like, you get what I'm saying? So what are some ways for people to manage finances together? Like,
Oh yeah. So for us, we've been together since I was in college. So before I even went to law school or anything like that. So she wasn't even sniping me for money like that. And, so we weren't even really at that time even thinking about finances like that. But I guess over time, as we were together, we sort of started helping each other do this, helping each other do that. And so I guess at this point, now that we're actually married, like, I probably pay maybe 90-95% of the bills. And she works also in the medical field. And so what she uses her money for is incidental stuff in the house, like stuff for the pets. She buys me stuff all the time, like clothes and stuff like that. And also, just like what you were saying, she helped me pay off some of my credit cards so we can try and get our money right together. Like, she has her own money, but also is trying to, you know, give me money to put in our savings account together so we can then use it to do this. She's always asking me, you know, should I give you money for this so we can do that? Right? So she's always trying to contribute. And I think when people talk about 50-50, it's like, it's never going to be 50-50 because unless you work at the same place and have the exact same salary. So it's just like, I think 50-50 to me more means that y'all both put in as much effort as you're able to put in.
Yes.
So I make also well over 6 figures and she doesn't make nearly as much money as I do. So she shouldn't be responsible for the same amount of bills or anything that I should be responsible. She should be responsible for what she can pay. Now, if we decide in the future that she would want to stay home and not do that, then she could do that too.
Yeah.
But I think that's a case-by-case basis and depending on what you want to do. Because, for example, for us, it seems like it's more advantageous for us, for her to continue working and to help build our savings even further that way. And then at a future time, we'll have money to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
So I think that people have to think of the best way to compromise with what you have and what you have available. So if you work at McDonald's and your husband is a surgeon, I mean, maybe you wouldn't want to work at McDonald's because they're not paying you enough there. But use what you have, contribute what you have. The problem is when you have one spouse that just sits there and says, you be a protector and provider and I will do nothing.
Right, exactly.
And when you try to say, well, maybe you should do something, they get upset. They get offended. How dare you say that I should cook a meal?
That's sassy. They gonna say you
It's
sassy.
sick.
Like,
It's honestly sick. It's like your mom used to cook your dad dinner. You can't fry some fish, nothing. So that's why it's like those type of relationships are gonna end up failing for sure because I think I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think maybe in the top 3 or top 2 reasons for divorces and breakups is financial reasons. So it's just like get your money right in the relationship so that doesn't make you see your partner in a different way because I feel like once you see your partner as greedy or even if you are the partner that doesn't make a lot of money and you see your other partner as stingy and they don't want to give you money or whatever, it's done for.
You should want to strive to be the best with your partner. As she said, it's a teamwork. Why aren't you striving to build each other up? It's all about communication and putting in effort. That's all it takes is effort. That's all it is.
Yeah, and setting goals
Yeah.
together. Like, legitly, y'all sit down and figure out, like, who is in the better position for what and how y'all can accomplish these goals together, not separately. Like she's saying, not separately at all. Like, it really, and even if, like, it requires maybe, I don't know, moving different jobs and moving around, y'all have to, you know, just do what you have to do and never, like, get content
It's
with
like chess. Moving the boards and pieces, like,
so
just
it
to
works
move
out.
forward.
We just saw a video of a woman that left her husband because he lost his job, or her fiance because he lost his job. She left him the same day.
Same day.
He came home. He said, "I got fired." He didn't want to tell her why he got fired. She got a cardboard box with her shit in it by the boogie out.
Immediately
He talking about
packing up.
where's the ring? She's not wearing it no more. She said,
is
"You go find it." I was like,
Yeah, that's what, and you know, and that's really sad because a lot of people would think like, oh, if your husband loses their job or whatever, like that's, you know, you, what do you do during that time? Well, duh, you work together and figure out
Try to
together. You be like, all right, we're here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be real moment of transparency. One moment in our time years ago at this job my husband was working at, they literally told him y'all had like, what was it, like a month before layoffs? When I say we went into action mode, we won't playing no games. Like, it was just like, okay, here's what we got to do. This is what we got to do. Even to this, even to this day, I'm still looking for ways. I'm always looking for ways to make money. I sell body butters, I make deodorants, I make lip balms. I'm always out here. Like, it's not like the aspect of you just gotta, you know, if you're a stay-at-home mom, this is all you're doing. You're, like he said, not doing nothing, you know, or not wanting to cook, not wanting to do anything. Finances and helping with finances can look in different ways, like whether that's saving money because you are cooking meals, being resourceful, like what things are you doing to help keep the money if you ain't bringing in no money? What's ways that you helping cutting costs?
Right.
All of that contributes to the marriage. Like all of that will help y'all stay afloat. And it's not even about like where you're at this moment and this is where it's always going to be, but always like, okay, how can we keep going? Like she said, how can we get better? How can we keep moving? Because inflation, like I'm talking about, inflation goes up every day. So y'all forever got to keep progressing and making more money. Like I remember when you first started making 100,000, he was like, well, shit, this ain't nothing.
Right.
And it's like, because he said, I remember
Taxes
he said,
is wild. That's
yeah.
wild.
And
That's a
this was
crazy
years
tax
ago.
bracket.
So imagine like now when inflation is higher, you're like, you know, you got to keep moving and keep it going. So.
Ladies, what would you say to younger women who likes to work and they embrace working and stuff like that, but they feel like the sacrifice that you guys would make for your man is more like a slave mentality, or you're taking a weaker role? Because, you know, a lot of women now argue the fact that you have to just be at home or you're not making your own money, but still wants a man to provide for them all the time and do everything a man's supposed to do, but they don't want to do their part as a woman, or they'll question everything that you would suggest for them to be as a woman in a relationship.
I don't think it's sacrifice. I did just want to say that. Do you look at it like that? I don't look at it as sacrifice.
Okay.
So again, I think that's perspective how it plays. Because to me, that's not sacrifice at all.
No.
Helping him is what we're supposed to do. We're a team.
You both did it for each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, even when women say like, oh, I'm giving up this, or I don't want to do this, or I like working, you know, that's not. What about the team? Again, go back to the whole idea of relationship is about being selfless. You're working together. Of course, you're getting your needs met because he's making sure your needs is met and you're making sure his needs is met. So
Definitely.
It's not like your needs aren't being met, but it's taking the I out of it, and I want to do this for me, and I'm trying to do it
what
for
you
me.
did, right? For example, right? You put a lot on the line by helping him with his credit building him.
Yeah.
So some women will look at you like, I would never do that. He would have to be he would have to be up already for them to be willing to put that type of effort in. So a lot of women wouldn't go on your lane, which I respect 100%.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I just want to understand, how do we express those words to younger women that may not know what you guys did for the betterment of your relationship?
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
Because it's about where you want to be, not where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So if where you're at isn't where you want to be, then you got to do what you got to do to get where you want to be.
True.
So that's going to mean if you meet a guy and he exhibits the qualities that you like as a husband, but maybe the finances aren't there, well then baby, that's where you help at. That's where you figure out how you can get him to that point, so then you guys can be where you want to be.
Definitely.
It's like at a time, if you're attracting a man, right, and he's not there, you have to also look at yourself and see, well, am I 100% there to be a wife to him? Whether that's mindset, am I completely ready to be mindset wife worthy, step up to the plate? If he was 100% ready, am I ready like that too? Or do I maybe have some work to do, some growing up to do, or something I need to do as well? So sometimes it may require, hey, yeah, you may both need some work because y'all both aren't there, and that's okay. But eventually you'll get to that point. So it's just really all about seeing where you're at and just saying, okay, we're here now, and that's okay. Have some grace with each other. We all need grace with each other, especially coming up in this age. I respect the modern man so much because unlike the traditional man, he didn't have the high rate of inflation going on, all these other extenuating circumstances that make it harder for a man to be that sole provider. Like back then, you could have one job and provide for a family of 8 so easy. Exactly.
Eight other
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. Right. So where's that grace? Because if we're all not there, we have to have grace so that we can get there. And that's all it's really about, you know.
I do want to get to this next topic because this is a word that triggers a lot of women. What does submission look like to y'all in a relationship? And I want to start here with Star and Ace.
Just allowing the man to lead, honestly. You put your trust in him and you should take his word. Allow the man to lead. Don't question. He has your best interests. So women should just allow the man to be the man and lead. That's all it is. That's all it takes, is just allowing him to be that man and allowing him to take the best interest of both of you and getting you guys where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real quick, I just heard what you said, right? So we just had a disagreement with a group yesterday, right? And what if you don't understand decision he made, is it okay to question it, or should you just, because you respect him so much, should he just lead and take it? I mean, follow his role.
Yes, absolutely. I should just
Mhm.
not question it. I mean, I will most likely definitely question it. That's just me because I like
Yeah.
to have an understanding. But
Definitely.
I will ask just so I can have an understanding. But I wouldn't like say, I don't trust
But
that.
that's valid because there's a difference between questioning something and acting like a maniac in some like type of combative
See?
way. Because it's like she's an
was
adult, not a child, right?
Right,
So it's just like
Yeah.
if it involves her and it has something to do with her, even if I'm making the decision, she can be like, "Can you explain this to me? What's going on here?" And I will explain it, and then we're gonna do that.
Okay.
And if it's something that she has superior expertise than me in for whatever reason, then maybe she would have more of a, veto type power where it'd be like, nah, we shouldn't do that because
Definitely.
X, Y, Z, and because I'm not stupid,
Yeah.
and I know that you have that superior knowledge to me on that point, I'm be like, you got it, and then we'll go that way. But if it's generally something that I know, then it's like, all she's gonna do is ask me to explain it. Like, all right, then we do it.
And
Yeah.
he goes by logic. So if I have something that actually makes sense and have reason, then he'll listen to my word.
Right.
If I feel like there might be something better that we might be able to choose out of the option. So I will follow his lead absolutely without question.
Okay.
But if
I move by facts and data. If you bring me
Yeah.
some facts that's different than what I'm working with, I'm like, okay, then maybe we got to go do that instead.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Logic over feelings. I ain't
Right.
gonna-
Yeah, submission is all about yielding, in my opinion, by definition. It's to yield to something. So God, the man yields to God in the sense of when it comes to decision making. Sometimes God will tell the man to do something, and as a wife, I may not understand why he's doing something. But as his wife, it is my job to yield to that because my man is the leader. So like she was saying, like even if it's a decision that I don't quite understand yet, of course you look for clarification,
Mhm.
but you are still yielding to what he has to say and you respect that and just allow that to be. And of course too, believe it or not, the man in a way yields to the woman, especially when it comes to maybe she's uncomfortable about something or how y'all doing something, operating, like I don't know, saying you go out late at night and she's like, honey, I don't really like this, you would yield to that to be like considerate of her.
Yes.
So it goes hand in hand, but I guess you gotta get away from the idea of submission because people think like, oh, that means
Being
It's
walked
walked
over.
over. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the really crazy part. People don't realize that how much, if you are a good husband, that like if your wife is uncomfortable with something or she don't like that, it's like even if you might feel like you want to do that, you might weigh that against how uncomfortable she really is with that thing and be like, let me not, to preserve her feelings, her sensibilities, whatever it
Yeah.
is, because like just like you wouldn't want her to do something to make you feel like a type of way,
Definitely.
you shouldn't
Right.
do the same thing. I mean, it's,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
100%.
Because again, we always on this show, every time we mention that word, it's just they just go ballistic.
Slavery.
I will never. I'm not gonna be like. I'm not gonna be like my
Basically.
grandmother. They
Iron
were
Claw.
slaves to my grandfather. Like, you know what I mean? So we get all these tricks, and we're looking at it like it's not that deep. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's a natural balance within the dynamic of a marriage and a relationship.
Mhm.
But the modern women today just look at it so much as a slave type of thing. We even had one woman look at the definition up. And see, it does say something about slave in there, and I'm just like, that's not what it says. Like, you know what I'm
Just
saying?
because a
Like,
slave could submit don't mean that
Yeah,
all
like,
people who
it's
submit
just-
are slaves.
like,
a,
Yeah,
lion,
That's
a
not
lioness
real.
still has power, like within the
Right,
kingdom. Like
just
she's
not in
still out
charge.
there hunting and everything. She's just not the head honcho. She's not the king of the jungle. So it's not like you have less power. It's just the simple fact that you submit to the higher power, the alpha. That's all it is.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's fair. Let me get to this next topic, right? Obviously, we wanted to have this panel with Mary Pugh because there's so much talk about how marriage is not beneficial nowadays in the current era that we live in. I want to ask.
topic.
I want to ask y'all what are some
Let me get
benefits?
on that.
What are some benefits to being married, or to getting married?
I mean, I still see us as, I don't know, just nothing has changed since we got married, honestly. Nothing has changed at all. I still see him as my best friend. We still hang out. So I don't really see much of a difference in our marriage since getting married. Like everything has remained the same since day one.
Right,
honestly.
like we didn't
Switch
like-
up after marriage.
Yeah, like it was just a continuation of our same relationship because we were together for 10 years before we got married.
Right.
But it's just a continuation of our same relationship. Like nothing changed. But So the benefits to being married is definitely that you have somebody who you know is, if is valid, someone who you know is locked in with you, you know, hopefully through thick and thin till death do you part. You know, you can rely on them. You know, you could turn your back, they won't steal your money. You turn your back and they'll protect you from someone else. Even though obviously you don't expect your girl to fight, still, I know that if I'm in an altercation and somebody about to hit me in my back of my head, she would clobber them over the head first.
Right.
Sneak them quick. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
instead of just stand there and stare.
Right.
But legally speaking, like when you're talking about marriage, it's kind of a double key because I am married. So I tell people I gotta tell the truth. Like if you have money and she don't have no money, and you get married fast and you don't prenup, and even prenups can get broken a lot of the time. So if you don't update it and whatever, so if you don't have your money thing set up right, you didn't transfer your assets to your mom like the other son did, right? You could end up in a scenario where your wife cheats on you, leaves you for that guy, and takes half your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how it's set up. If you have kids, she takes the kids too. Even if arguably they should stay with you because you're the one with the money, they'll still, rather than let you keep the children and tell her just to kick rocks, they will give her the kids and make you pay her. So you end up in kind of a financial catch-22 where I've heard other people say this and it's true. Women are legally incentivized to break marriage and leave you. So you have to be very judicious about the one who you choose to get married with. Like we were saying, if she's not someone who's trying to contribute to the whole financially, but she's only looking to take out of it to raise herself up, and instead of trying to work with the team, like if she helped you pay off your credit card bills, like you said you did that, she helped me too. So it's like, I feel like that's someone you can trust with that type of stuff. But other people, it's like 10 years down the road, she try to take your money, what you gonna do? So it's a very fine line you have to walk. So that's why people are trying to say, they get in my comments, right? They'd be like, well, y'all are married, so how can you say marriage is not a good decision? I didn't say that. I said if you marry the wrong woman, you're gonna get folded bad.
Yeah. Super
and I think that's the rhetoric that we hear often is obviously on the guys' end, we hear marriage is a bad deal. She can take you for half. And on the woman's end, we hear, well, you're going to have to be a slave to him, and you're still going to have to work and plus take care of the house and the kids. So both parties are looking at marriage as something negative. You get what I'm saying? So this is why we're trying to get to what's the benefits of it, because a lot of people say it's just a piece of paper. He could be my baby daddy. We could just co-parent, and you know what I mean? Then we get into a lot of these, you know, single parent, like co-parenting situations. You get what I'm saying? So what would y'all say are some benefits of getting married?
Well, of course, statistically, health benefits. Usually when a man is married, he's healthier, especially if the woman eats, you know, cooks, all that stuff. He's eating better because you leave it up to a man. Y'all microwave a meal in a heartbeat and be all right, or pick up some fast food and be all right. I mean, that's just true. So statistically, married men are healthier. Also, too, when a man gets married, he is actually shown to be more productive in society. So, like, immediately right after, and it's probably because he takes on the whole household, you know, a family, and he feels more of a need to step up. So but I mean, what is the attorney surgeon general, was it, declared
loneliness.
Loneliness,
American
an
Surgeon
epidemic. What was it?
Loneliness is a new epidemic.
Yeah, so that is huge
among young men.
Yes, because think about it. How do I say this without, can we say that word, suicide? I don't want to. Okay, well, you know, suicides rate. Yes. Thank you. Self-deletion has raised tremendously.
Especially in our community.
And what has also dropped? Marriages. Loneliness kills. Studies have equated loneliness to 15 cigarettes a day. That's how fast it can kill. Yes, a Harvard study, the longest published study, looking at couples. I think it was like between like 30 to like old, like really, really old. Yeah, the number one thing that helped their health was being married and being in a companionship. Just because, like he was saying, having somebody there with you to go through life, the right person, of course, really does help with life. We are not meant to be alone. We're not. The man and the woman were meant to be together. So as much as this gender war is going on to where we're like, oh, we'd rather not, statistically, our world isn't getting better by being single. It's not. It's statistically getting worse. So with that, it's just clear evidence that we need more people to come together and figure out how to have solid relationships, not only for ourselves, but for our children. Our children are out here not this suicide rate, self-deletion rate among young millennials in particular is so high, and that makes me so sad because what's the common denominator? Broken homes. Broken homes, and not having that love, that connection with somebody, to feel like, you know, somebody cares about me. Like I can go through life at the end of the day and I got one person who I know who's gonna be by my side. That makes a world of difference for a person. Men in particular, like men will go out and work and then stop and get content with life. And that's all because they don't have that extra extra drive to keep going and push for more. So I mean, loneliness kills. So if anything else, that's one of the main reasons why we have to figure out how we can coexist together. That's super big. So.
Yeah, I always say the only people that benefit from keeping people single is the government, obviously, because like y'all said, when you're married, you tend to save more money. You tend to not eat out as much. You know what I mean? Single people tend to obviously spend more money. They work more. They go on vacations. They are bigger consumers. So the only people that benefits from people being single and pushing this narrative of being single is the government. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
especially Black women as the biggest consumer. Quick to tell somebody, oh, you don't need no man, go and keep out here and buying all this stuff. Cause you know what I mean? Like, because that's what happens. A single woman will spend so much money compared to a woman who has a man, and the man is like, oh, hold on, we're gonna budget this out. We're gonna work this out first. You know what I mean? So it's just, it's true.
Can I add to that? A lot of things that a lot of young people are missing the fact of, and don't even look that far into the future, is the fact that we all have to retire one day.
Right.
And then the benefit of marriage is also too is understanding that you make more money in a relationship in a family unit, the family unit. So you're providing more for the family unit. You got to understand it takes roughly around $2.5 million for you and your wife to live comfortably from the age of 65 to 95, because we're living longer now to the age of 95. And you have to have around 70 to 90% of the income that you were making from when you retired. On top of that, a savings account, or what is it, your IRA, your retirement funds. And then now they are talking about a part-time job just to retire comfortably, because a lot of people who are retiring don't have those numbers. They don't make 1.5. The single people don't retire with $1.5 million in their bank account. You know, even married couples nowadays aren't retiring with $2.5 million in their bank account. But it makes it easier if you have somebody and you can depend on somebody in your elder years to help support you, or either create that family so that they can help also support you as well. And then also too, another one out there as far as being married, you also have extended family in order to help with difficult situations or crisis situations as well. So single people normally don't have that. They don't have that. They don't have. They only have their own family, if that. But you also have an extended family who can help you out through crisis situations, home fires, you know, sudden deaths, you know, God forbid, or anything, financial issues that you may run across. So that's another caveat to having for being married.
Yeah, and you can create generational wealth. I'm sorry, but I just thought about that. Like, why else does a single person work so hard if you're not going to leave it behind with the legacy? Who's going to die with you? You going to give it to the state? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't have a family who you are leaving this behind to, and actually creating like a generational wealth type thing where it's a structure to where you have, you know, this family doing this business. And then often too, back then, what families used to do when they would come together was merge powers of two families. You're talking about two strong families that then would say, okay, well, my son marries your daughter, then y'all can create something even more and then grow. Look at our communities. Where's the generational wealth established within the families and of our communities? How many families, when your parents leave, they pass away, what are they leaving you behind? That's what marriage allows you to have, that opportunity to solidify generational wealth and create that for yourself, so your generations going forward.
Or just have the chance to do it.
Yeah, just even the chance. Yeah, the opportunity. Right.
Most of us left with that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
Exactly.
Right.
True.
Listen, I want to get to this next topic, right? Because obviously we live in this digital age. So what do you say is the impact of social media on relationships and marriages nowadays?
Very damaging.
Why you say that?
Because the outreach that people have with the social media is immense. They see something that they think is greener on the other side and think, oh,
Mhm.
let me see if I can dabble in this and maybe I can get a better life. No. Like the outreach for social media it's all fake. It's
Right.
all fake. It's a facade.
Right.
Like people act like they have this and fancy that or living the ultimate lifestyle. Like it's all just show. And it's damaging to married couples and families because it's just thinking that, oh, people are living this well. I can live this well too. Maybe I can live this life too. When it's not the same. People just live off of social media and entertainment thinking that they can have that too when they're just so focused on what they want to get instead of actually building that with that person that they're already with.
True.
Yeah, I think that it's less damaging to more established marriages, and the older you are, the less damaging it is.
Is that because you find yourself less on social media because of your marriage?
Yes, and also because you were socialized in an era before social media took over everything. So I'm 33. So when we were learning how to talk to girls, the internet, I mean, what we had on MySpace, like if that, like that was it. So
Right.
it wasn't how it is now, where it's like a young girl from Montana who's 17 might have somebody famous from Miami in her DMs. She turns 18, she's out there. Like that's just something that was you saw like the lives of the rich and famous on TV, but you never really saw it like play by play, day by day. You're thinking, well, if Future comes to my city, I can go to his concert and I can meet him. There are people that really believe that.
Right.
They think that. They go in the section and behave crazy to try to get to this man, only to realize that you're gonna get thrown out like a used napkin, but they don't realize that until later. So it's just like it's poisoning the minds of particularly young women coming up trying to then ascertain a man for a marriage. Like I said, for established marriages, maybe not so much. And it does have a negative effect on men too, young men too, thinking that also it's a fake abundance mindset, right? Because it makes you think you can get all these women or all these men are available to you, when in reality, it just seems like that.
Right.
The illusion of options in a
Right.
way. Yeah.
But the illusion of options will have you throw away an 8 out of 10, looking for a 10 that you're never gonna get.
Exactly.
Yep, or not even give the person walking down the street,
A chance.
a chance.
Or give
because
you a warped view
Yep.
give you a warped view of how you view yourself.
Yep.
And make you think that you're a 10 if you're a 7.5 or a 3.
Well, that 10 they got wasn't even a 10. When they found out they got him.
It was a 10 in
She
Montana,
was
not
a
a 10 in New York.
5.
So what about you, D? What are your thoughts on social media and the impact it has on marriages nowadays?
I think, like he was saying, the illusion of options kind of keeps people from getting married, because the woman will see, kind of like she said too, the woman will see that they have all these people in their DMs, and then when the guy that walks past the street that is actually the viable option to make your husband, you don't give him a time of day because you like, oh, I got 6 men in my DM that look good. So, and then you keep chasing that only to not have anything.
Right.
So that illusion kind of stops you from actually going after and pursuing, what would actually be beneficial for you in a way. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest ones.
Right. I mean, yeah, they all said it. I mean, it's a fantasy world out there, and then people who, I think more so people who are looking for more outside themselves. They see all of that and they want to become it. Or either they want that type of lifestyle. It's outside of the reality that they currently live in. Like I said, it creates delusional. I mean, if anything, it creates more mental illness within our communities. And I mean, and to be honest with you, this is like, social media is television 2.0, or either the music that we grew up, rap music 2.0, hip hop music, well, more so rap, because we growing up, us young men, we wanted to be that, we wanted to become that, and that in that type of way, and then we see social media, and we're being sold this lie, And then ultimately it incarcerates us or prevents us from being established in life.
Yeah, all that stuff is fake too. Like if you really TV 2.0, all that stuff is fake. Like they using filters, they airbrushing the photos, they renting the jet, they renting the jewelry, the money on the table is drug money. They gotta take it someplace else. That's
Returning
that's
the
money they
outfits.
gotta turn over. That's not, you can't keep that. That's not yours. You know what I mean? It's all an illusion, and only when you get there do you realize that they rented the jet, or they rented the jewelry, or the RICO case is next week. You know what I mean? Like it be like that. So it's just like it's all fake, and it's like when you growing up and you 17, you don't realize that's fake. You're gonna you drive your life into a hole.
So I want to ask y'all, because there's obviously amongst, the millennials, there's this term, I'm not going to settle, right?
Yeah.
And this is where you get to the options, having that illusion of options.
Yeah.
You feel like, well, he got on my nerves today. I'm not going to settle with him. I'm going to keep finding somebody else to,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So what do y'all think is settling? Because they throw this word out often. Like, so what do you think is
It's
settling?
not settling. It's fleeting emotions. Like, just because you're upset one moment doesn't mean that you're not gonna come together and talk about the situation and move past it.
Right.
Like, these emotions are fleeting for these women, and for you to jump from the next relationship because that person pissed you off to the next and the next, like, you're again gonna end up being alone.
Right.
So, like, take the time out to actually sit down and communicate and understand that these emotions are just fleeting, and you can actually come together and build something back. Like, you don't have to leave every single time.
Right.
You only settling if you are with somebody that is demonstrably below what you're worth. The problem is that people don't know what they're worth.
Yeah.
Right.
And they can't see that because it's being distorted by society and everything
Social
like
media.
that.
Yeah.
All the simps in your DMs, you can't tell that you are a 7, not a 10. And so it's messing up how you're dealing with it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So
Great point.
what would y'all think is settling for somebody in a relationship?
Well, I would say, like Ace was saying, unrealistic expectations. First of all, a lot of people have unrealistic expectations about who they want their mates to be. And like Ace was saying, realistically, I mean, you can only pretty much date somebody equal to you or below as far as the marketplace. Now, that's more so for, I would say for men. We more so women, because women are hypergamous, meaning that they like to try to find the best fit man, the best man with the most money, or whatever that may be. But what ultimately you're playing a dangerous game of rolling the dice. What's wrong with the man that you currently got? Why you all can't be in a relationship where you're building a family and building a household, and you're willing to throw all of that out for somebody with a better car than he has, and you don't know anything about this guy. So that's a dangerous game that a lot of women play. And for men, though, to make that situation better, you see it now in these times that men are holding out on relationship, holding out on marriage. To be honest with you, struggle love is a hard thing, and it for young guys out here, it is best if they can get themselves well established first before trying to go out and look for a wife,
Right.
in that aspect, or a serious relationship, because that's the reason why a lot of times women, they're hypergamous, because this guy, they realize that, why am I with this guy? He's not being a provider for me. In that situation, the female chose wrong. She chose somebody who's more so like a roommate to her than a helpmate. You get what I'm saying? So, that's pretty much like my aspect on it.
Yeah. Settling is interesting. Oh, sorry, I didn't
I
cut
just
you
want
off.
to ask, don't you think it would make it harder for you to find a mate if you wait till you establish to look for?
Because then I get what you're saying, because you feel like
it's not gonna be genuine. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she don't really like you for you necessarily.
Yeah, you
She
start-
like you
you
for the
start to-
resources you
exactly.
can provide her. Like,
And they got a lot of women out here that's gonna play the role if you got that money. You know what I mean? So
Well, that goes to what he was saying about prenups and I think, to be honest, I think prenups, and especially in modern times, it needs
Should
to
be
be like a
standard.
norm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it
should be
really
a
does need to be a norm. And not only to protect your assets, but to establish what you are and not going to tolerate or do within your relationship. So whether it's, getting rid of, believe it or not, the number one reason for divorces is irreconcilable differences, whatever the heck that is, right?
Well, that could
So,
be anything.
yeah, and that could be anything.
That could be
So
anything.
that within itself is something that you could even work out and put into a prenup. So I think men who take the time to establish themselves, they actually do have an advantage, because what you can do is then look from where you're at and analyze the women that you're presented with and see which ones you can then, establish and build in a relationship with, but present a prenup that not only works for you, but for her as well, because it's for the protection of both of y'all when y'all get into the relationship. It's never just like, oh, I'm trying to get over on somebody or anything like that. It's really about just establishing safe parameters so that you both can move forward knowing that, okay, we have some kind of clear direction or conscious if this bad thing happens, but we're not going to bet on that, but we just going to, establish that just in case.
I think that's what's people don't understand about prenups is that
Right.
it's a mutual agreement. It's not like,
Yes.
yo, you sign this right here and you don't get half my money. Like, y'all both
Right.
have to negotiate the terms
Yeah.
of a prenup.
Everything
Like,
in it.
Like she said, it's for safety purposes. You won't buy a car without getting car insurance.
Right.
Like it's all for the safety
Right.
of the person. So it makes sense to actually have that safety net and have boundaries, so you have an understanding that if this doesn't work out, we have something that we can say. We have where it's amicable, where we're safe for each other and everything else like that. So it's all about safety. Like I don't understand how women don't understand that.
Sometimes they get mad. They're like, well,
They get mad.
you
Yeah.
banking on us breaking up.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
No,
Be the shame
Nah,
tactic.
They
I
understand.
think we will stay together forever.
Right.
That's why we're getting the prenup.
Right.
We won't ever have to use it. We're
That's
gonna
what
stay
you
together forever.
What
Right.
you were saying earlier that sometimes the prenup doesn't work. Like what would be a
Yeah.
scenario?
I mean, so for example, if you if you don't disclose all the assets that you have
Mhm.
before, like when you're doing the prenup negotiation, and you don't disclose that you have money someplace, that could break the prenup entirely, or have the judge throw the entire thing out and just distribute the property based on like the state's
They
laws.
can say emotional distress, like you forced her,
Right,
like you
you
know what I mean?
forced
Like,
her.
she wasn't in her right
I mean,
mind.
they
like,
be
you know?
they be bullshitting on that, but
Right,
but I mean, listen, you can sometimes you can prove
Yeah,
that up where it's just
yeah.
like you didn't have a lawyer and you didn't talk to none of your friends and nothing. You just in the room, they gave you the paper, you said you signed it, and she's like crying and stuff. It's like nah. That's why it's like if you're gonna get a prenup, you gotta get like tape the whole
Video
interaction.
footage, yeah.
Because otherwise they could say anything about
That's what happened to
later.
Steven
Yeah.
Jackson. He was at his wedding and he didn't continue it because she didn't want to sign a prenup. And then she said, "I'm gonna sign it," but she was crying.
No.
So he said, "You know what? Fuck the wedding is
No,
over."
no.
Yeah.
No, the real corporate lawyer is gonna come and take that.
Yeah.
They're gonna come and take
Yeah.
that.
Listen, I want to get into this topic. Can a marriage, ever truly come back from cheating? Because obviously, everybody's human. We all make mistakes. So in your opinion, do you think a marriage can come back from cheating?
That's difficult to say. In my eyes, no.
Mm.
Solely because how can we move past it if I don't have trust with you anymore? I'm going to be constantly worried about your movements and everything. Like I'm going to be questioning it. And that's not a way to live. That's not a way to have a relationship. So it'll be very hard to move past it because I'm going to constantly be questioning your whereabouts and what you do and because you lied. You lied, So I don't want to live in that type of relationship, that type of environment. And I don't know if that type of environment can be mended.
Yeah.
Not even with like therapy or nothing like that, or
Cut it out.
I mean,
That's tough.
Cut it
That's tough.
out.
Honestly, we haven't experienced that either. So when I'm sitting here thinking back, I'm like, wow, forgiveness is huge. And that's the number one thing that you need in a marriage. Forgiveness every single day, whether it's he getting on your nerves just by doing something petty or she getting on your nerves just by doing something simple, whatever it is, just being able to forgive and move forward. But when it comes to, like she said, breaking that trust, that is really hard to build up from. So in particular, I think it's going to require a lot of new moves. That means you got to move different, like invisibly. Things got to change. Like whatever caused you to get into that situation, you can never do that again. Whether it's mean get rid of them friends or not go to that same environment. I mean, it's going to take extreme measures in order to come back from such an extreme, heartbreak in a way. So
It's
you
a-
got to shake it up.
Yeah, it's a person by person, couple by couple basis. You know what I mean? Like if you are the type of person that's just like, nah, I ain't with that.
Yeah.
Then like I'm that type of person. I ain't with that. And I'm not trying to. I'll say this though: you catch your girl cheating, don't beat up the nigga. Like just if he say anything to you, then whip his ass. But if he just
Man gonna be a man.
It's,
Yeah.
You gonna
niggas do
get
what
that
they
free
do. That's
break.
your girlfriend's fault. It's the fault of the person that broke the trust.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I
the
say
broken
that all the
trust
time.
is the issue.
Yeah.
Just what you said. It's like we're gonna have to be stalking the cameras. It's like I don't have time for that. Like
Right.
it's gonna give you like a coronary. Like you.
I'd rather live in
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
I
Like,
do have.
yeah.
Oh, my fault. Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
I do understand that, and I'm not condoning cheating, but they always say, and I don't know the statistics to it, that there's a lot of men in sexless marriage. So I'm not saying that man has a reason to step out of his marriage to go have sex. You get what I'm saying? But if he's communicating that you guys used to have so much sex, and now women are using sex as leverage to get what they want in a relationship, to control a man in a relationship on how it should go. How does that work?
Don't lie. That's all. When you in the sexless marriage, she knows she not doing
Right.
her part.
So
Right.
So
you
you
don't.
about to be
You
like,
don't.
I'm about to go get some pussy.
Facts. I'm so serious. The lying is the wild part. Don't lie. Be like, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We need to solve this. If you tell her to her face, 'cause that's what a marriage
Needs
is,
aren't
right?
being met.
My needs aren't being met. There's an issue we have. Let's discuss it. If you are not trying to discuss it and solve the problem, you're gonna tell me to my face after months of nothing that it's still gonna stay that way. Hey, listen, man. And then obviously the divorce is gonna follow right after that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that, and like, I don't understand how you're not giving in your needs to, it's
You
like
should never get to that point.
right.
Right.
If I understand, like, life gets busy and the scheduling and everything, but you should be at least scheduling some time to actually get that in.
Yeah.
Because you're building, that's a different type of connection to have with that person. Like, that's a deep rooted
But that's
connection.
the issue.
It's
though.
not
when
all
when it's sexless, it's because y'all are having a fucking problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Not
or
communicating.
Yeah,
or
I
one
didn't
of you is
know
having a
realize that
problem,
too.
the other person
Right.
don't know about it.
Right.
But one
Right.
person's definitely having
Right.
a problem.
Right.
Yeah, because
True.
marriage in general takes work. Like you were saying, communication is constant and it takes maintenance. Like anything else, it takes maintenance. So if somebody is not contributing what they used to, of course, things are going to fall apart. It's not going to ever be the same. You can't expect the same outcomes when you're not doing the same stuff.
Right. And also study shows. I mean, a wife should want to please her husband in that way, but study shows that a man needs to have 27 ejaculations within a month. So it's only what,
God,
30?
that's
27.
30 to 31.
Look at this
I
clip.
mean,
Where'd you
and
find that?
that's
Send me the link for that. Let's get a link for that. Like,
that's in order to maintain healthy
health,
prostate health.
Oh, word.
So that's very important.
And
That's
I
a
ain't
way to
trying do it by
prevent.
myself.
That's a way to prevent prostate cancer.
Right.
So I mean, women, that is part of the duty. That is part of the job of
Keep me healthy,
Saving
baby.
lives.
right.
Yeah, that's what it
It
sounds
actually
like.
is a
Goddamn,
health
like, you know what I'm
benefit
saying?
for both parties, actually.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's,
It is.
it's very, it lowers stress levels.
Yep.
It's good for the heart. It has a lot of benefits. So I don't understand how you're not doing
That's
it.
exercise.
Like,
Where did that
exercise
come
level.
from?
Right.
Where that whole conversation of a sexless marriage? I'm sorry, but it annoys me that bad marriages, their results are like the standard for
Right.
marriages.
Yeah, true.
When
I
it's like,
understand.
dude, that is not true. Like a good solid marriage, they're having sex, dude. And if it's not, then
I hear women that even come on the show. They say that I don't got time for sex once we get married. They say this.
Oh, yeah,
though.
we did have, yeah. We
A
did,
woman
yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Yo, I gave you sex in the beginning. We're married now. There's other things we got to
Oh, it's
worry
over.
about."
It's
to worry
over.
about.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so-
crazy.
Oh, so
oh, you
fuck is
certainly
the
don't
time.
marry that woman. Like, yeah,
Right.
she just
But
yeah.
again, this is the deceivingness because women will, even men, they would deceive a woman or women would deceive a man. Be like, okay, yeah, I'm that freak for you. I'm gonna be that freak for you, but you got to put that ring on it. You get what I'm saying? So now we put the ring on it. It's like, I got
That's
you. Like, you know what I'm
sociopathic
saying? Like,
behavior.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
You know
a
what
red
I'm
flag.
How do
That's
you
something
think
you should.
something like that
Yeah.
for like long enough to get a ring only to turn it off? You're
Yeah.
a nut. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, and there had to been some other red flags or signs
Yeah,
connected
I
to
agree.
that you
Right.
ignored if you're gonna marry a woman who is operating in this way.
Shorty
Her
gonna- Shorty
mindset
gonna
is
kill
like
you,
that.
bro.
Women are
Like,
very
what?
deceitful. Janet Jackson
is
played her role for 5 years to get that money.
Didn't Anna Nicole
Women
Smith
are
play that
very
role for
deceitful.
mad long too?
From who? JD?
That's
Who? That is
Who she
true.
was
Who's she married to?
She married that billionaire. And the agreement was for
Oh, yeah,
5
yeah, yeah.
years she'll end up
Mariah
getting.
Carey.
right?
Okay.
Mariah Carey did
I don't
some
know
That
about
is true.
that.
I know Anna Nicole Smith. I think I got that.
I
I think
Wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
But
Before
that's
she
it.
died too.
And
but-
I didn't know
Kim K
that.
don't leave her house. She done spin the block a few times on him.
But while we on this subject, I wanted to know because we always say that because we always say like if our girls cheating on us, that's it for them. You know what I mean? And women normally say, okay. And I mean, if he was genuine and he wanted to make it work, they'll give him another chance. So do y'all think that one cheat is more hurtful than the other cheat, like in terms of from the guy or the woman?
Yeah.
Because basically what
double
a
standard.
lot of people try to
Yeah.
say is when men cheat is just sex. There's no
Yeah.
real emotions involved to it as opposed to when a woman cheats, she tends to have much more emotions tied to that person. that she
Yeah.
cheats.
She looking at that big.
Not with all women, but that's usually the narrative. You get what I'm saying?
Grass
So
is green. She thinking the grass is green.
No,
or something
millennials.
Like that,
The millennials.
That's
they
true, but
different.
that don't necessarily make it right.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's like
we agree.
one is definitely worse than the other for sure.
Mhm.
And I feel like the way that men see the cheating and how men view their own women and how possessive men are over their women and kind of what the act of sex sometimes is a man dominating a woman. You have something that belongs to you being dominated by somebody else.
Mhm.
So that bothers men in a
Mhm.
in a internal
That's a good
primal
point.
place.
That
That's
bothers
like
me hearing you say it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So like when that kind of thing happens, it's just like that's I think really what makes men see it as way worse and why it's
Yeah.
unforgivable.
Mhm.
And then women also they don't really see it like that because just what you said, or I can't remember who just said that. One of y'all said that that for men it's kind of just the act, and they can
Right.
kind of do it and forget about it
Right.
and go home and love their woman. While
Right.
if a woman cheats on you, generally speaking,
So feelings.
there's something wrong, or she thinks you lack something, and she's searching for that out there. And if that's the case, that thing you lack, even though it shouldn't, could be the reason why she leaves you ultimately. So that being said, the problem why it's still bad for the men to do it is because niggas be lying.
You do.
We don't lie. With the lying and the betrayal and the hiding and the sneaking, that's what be fucking it up. So if you feel like you need to go get something from someplace else, you have to have that discussion with your partner. And if they agree with that, then have at it. If not, then you need to leave them or change
Yeah.
up how you move.
Right,
Exactly.
right. That's fair. I do want to get to this last time before we get up out of here. Obviously, one thing to me about marriage is that people I don't think talk about enough is, your partner changing, and people change, you get what I'm saying? And adapting to that change, right? So what are some ways, that people should adapt to change within the dynamics of a marriage? I want to start here.
Just understand and communicate, and it takes time. Like sometimes you have to reiterate the same thing over and over again for somebody to understand what they're going through, because it's different now. People don't have an understanding to change. People don't like change. So sometimes you have to reiterate certain things over and over just for them to understand, and have that communication open. Like, listen, this is what's going on. This is why I changed, or X, Y, and Z. And have patience. Have patience and try to be understanding.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's like what kind of change are we talking about, right? If it's minor changes, I mean, people change and become a different person over time. I'm not the same person I was when I was 20. So it's just like people change and become a different person, and you should be changing too and trying to grow together. So them changes
for better.
shouldn't be real shocking to you, because it's like one of those things where your face changes, but you can't tell because you look at your face every day.
Right.
And someone who sees you at 5 years is like, whoa, you look different. You're like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Right.
So it's just like, if you are locked in with your partner, I feel like the changes that they have won't seem so drastic to
It'll be
you.
gradual.
But like if you are like you there, but you kind of like mentally not there, then maybe when they start to change, you're like, whoa, what's going on? And at the same time, like you said, have patience. Like if it's something that's negative that's changing, talk to them, try to see if you can work that out one way or the other.
Got you. D, what's your thoughts on this?
Life is change. That literally is life. Every part of life is nothing but change. And so you have to be comfortable with that. And very much like she said, communicate that. So if you know that you are maybe going through something, even in the aspect of maybe depression, right? You're going through the opposite scale of it, and your change is something that's hard for you. And you have to speak about this and talk about this. And so that you and your spouse are able to stay on one accord and then work to support each other through that. So always kind of in a way ask your spouse, like, hey, you going through something? Or if your spouse lets you know that they're going through something, or good or bad, just say, how can you support them through that? Because sometimes that's not for you to be able to know and recognize, but you need them to tell you like, hey, well, I need a little bit of this, or I may need a little bit of that, but just being able to have that dialogue of how you can support each other through that time will really help when you move through life and change consistently, because that's just life,
Right. Change is growth. To me, in marriage made me into a man. When me and my wife, we talked about our struggle love situation, I was still maturing as a man because, I grew up without a father for a while. But ultimately, being committed in a relationship, in a marriage, it taught me what a man was. And my wife brought that out of me. And change, don't be afraid of marriage. Marriage allows growth. It allows you to expand. It allows you to be a better person than you were yesterday. So to me, that that's my advice as far as marriage and change. It's always going to change, but it's what you make of it.
And if you can create a healthy environment to allow your spouse to change, because that's going to happen. Like he said, the same man he was at 20, like my husband, he wasn't the same man then. And so he had to become someone different. And you have to allow that space for that and be okay with that. Like see them and let them mature. Same thing for the woman. Maybe she might not always want to do what she's doing. Like sometimes with me, like I don't always want to do, certain things, and I have to let them know like, hey, I need this at this moment, you know, and that's okay. It may be different from what's usual, but that's okay. Just allowing that change to take place will make it easier for you guys to both then move forward, because it's about moving forward together and changing within the atmosphere together, never apart.
How important is the till death do us part for people? I've heard Michelle Obama say, you know, her and Barack had issues for 10 years, but they was with each other for 25, and you know, it still seems like a win for her overall. So like, people don't really look at the bad side, they only look at the good sides of marriage. How complicated can it be for you to be in a relationship and understand that you're going to have your rough patch and you got to get through it without leaving your marriage?
Yeah, I
10
think that
years
depends
a
on
long
how.
rough patch, ain't it?
Yeah,
That sound
right,
crazy.
right. And then also how
10?
soon?
That's
How
what she said,
soon?
though.
Yeah, so how soon you're in your relationship, especially if you get together young, you are going to go
Go
through
through
hard
changes.
times because
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to mature and you have to grow up. So you got to learn certain things you can't do, certain things I can do, certain things I need to do. You know, all of that is stuff that you have to learn. So when you say to death do us part, that means you're saying I'm with you throughout all
Good
these
or bad.
changes, and I'm willing to go through that bad and stick with you and figure it out together, because that's what it's really about. When you saying I have a spouse, a partner till death that I'm going to work through this life with. And that's the beauty of it. So it should be, and that, you know, that's unfortunate, their situation, but it should be, you know, to death. You sign up for the bad too. And as much as people don't believe that, you do. You sign
Great
up
part
for
of
it,
the
but it's
message, yes.
supposed to be a support system for the bad. One thing, before coming here, my husband lost his wallet. So at the time we were like, oh my God, we can't find the wallet. We can't find the wallet. So then, of course, part of me was like, how do you lose your wallet at that moment? But I didn't say that, because in that moment, that wouldn't have been helpful, right?
Oh,
So
that's
just
a great point.
recognizing, okay, what can I do? So I kept calling him and giving advice of certain way to look for things, right? And so later on, he finds his wallet and he comes in down the road and he's like, you know, I'm glad you didn't, you know, throw in my face that I lost the wallet and all this
Give me
other
some
stuff.
grace. Give me some grace.
Yeah, it's all about that grace. So when
Yeah.
you have those bad moments, I know that's something trivial, but it was something that just happened.
Yeah.
But when you have those bad moments, being able to say, all right, how can I make this moment better? How can I not make this worse? But how can we make this
the women
better?
nowadays, see, this is why I don't trust you to lead, because you can't even keep leading your wallet. Like, no, listen, man, we do gotta get up out of here
Wait,
again.
before we get up out of here, man, I just
We
want
don't
to
got-
ask.
We don't got
we don't
time,
got-
bro. We
got no time?
bro.
That means we gotta do this again.
We got 5 minutes. It's a quick question, man. Should your spouse have a opinion on what you wear outside? Man?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Like,
Alright.
if you, especially if you're not there.
Okay.
Like, if I go out with my wife, she be trying to say she want to put on more clothes, right? I'm like, you can wear what you want because I fight, so you could. I promise you, so you could be good with me.
Yeah.
But if you go outside without me, I
Yeah.
feel like maybe you shouldn't look a certain way because
Mhm.
dudes act crazy. They will do crazy stuff, and you don't fight, so
Mhm.
I'm not there. So it could get sticky like that.
I see.
So I mean, that's like the most practical way, and just the other way is like, you're my wife. So if you outside looking like you looking for somebody else, you're embarrassing me, and that's disrespectful.
Mhm.
And to the extent your wife maybe could have an opinion on what you wearing too. Maybe you looking crazy. Be like, "Stop, you look like a weirdo. Don't wear that." Or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
That's fair. What about
You
y'all?
got something?
Oh, I mean, of course, like you have to be respectful, right? So you want your spouse to be okay with what you have on because you respect him. I'm not, even if it's something that's, you know, maybe a little revealing, I ask him, hey, babe, is this too much? And maybe like, nah, I like that because, you know, it's just him. But it's just the act of being considerate and being respectful. It's not like I'm trying to, you know, he's trying to stop me from wearing something. Most
He's
of the
trying to
times he
control you
doesn't.
or
Yeah,
something.
it's
Yeah,
not
like-
that at all. It's just, you know, being mindful of how my spouse will feel at this moment in time. Would my spouse be a little uncomfortable with this? Why put my spouse in that situation? I wouldn't want my spouse to make me uncomfortable, you know? So it's really just about being considerate and empathetic and loving and caring towards all you do. Every action, from what you say to how you act, present yourself, you know, your
You
brand.
are a reflection of your
Yes.
partner,
Your
of your
brain,
spouse.
exactly.
We're going to
Yeah.
use this
This
as
is so beautiful.
we're going to use this as evidence. So I also need you guys to answer, because we know we said that in the marriage. But while you're dating the person that you want to marry, should he also have a say in what you wear? Because they're going to say,
Absolutely.
oh, he ain't put a ring on it, so I don't got to listen to him. So, I mean, does it make a difference?
Absolutely.
If you feel, okay, thank you. That's what we
Absolutely.
need to clarify.
You ain't gonna start listening on the wedding.
Right.
All the days before that, I don't hear nothing.
Listen,
Now you listen, right?
This is
Stop
the
it.
shit we gotta deal with,
The
man.
amount of pushback we got from women worldwide, and
Word.
no man is going to control me,
That's
tell me what
madness.
to
Jesus.
do.
It's a
Man.
different
Like,
wild world.
This
out
is
here. It's
coming
really
from
wild.
married people.
Right.
You hear this? Make sure y'all take notes.
You gotta be what it is before you become it.
Right.
Exactly. Exhibit all
Embody
those traits.
that character
Yes.
before
I knew he
actually
wasn't
becoming
crazy,
like.
Because then how we
Yeah.
gonna pick you?
I knew it.
How he gonna know?
Right.
Right.
If you, I seen one dude say this one time. He said, if you seen 100 lions running down the street and you knew only 10 lions wanted to bite you, but you couldn't be sure, you said, nah, we running,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If y'all women start all acting like the hoes and refuse to take on wife qualities,
Yeah.
then the real niggas cannot tell the difference between none of y'all. So
Yeah.
nobody gets picked.
I'm a pair out two. I said those. Yo, I'm a pair out two.
Come on, son.
I'm glad y'all said it. We appreciate y'all for saying that. Again, we
Sure.
appreciate y'all for coming on this panel and having
Thank
this
you for
conversation.
having us.
It is-
Thank you.
it is much
Yeah.
needed, especially in our
Yeah.
community, man.
Thanks for having us.
So, again, let them know where they can follow you at.
Dope.
So Ace and Star TV on YouTube,
IG,
yeah.
TikTok. I'm telling you, we on there. We giving it up. We talking shit. If I catch you doing something stupid on the internet, I'm on your ass.
Appreciate
That's
that.
right.
Hold them accountable.
And-
Yep, and we're Blueprint Family Jewels. So we're on YouTube, also IG as well.
Yeah, we're giving advice mainly to help create families. That's what we really want. When we realize that creating relationships create a better community for our children to grow up in. So this act of really wanting to bring men and women together to get rid of those suicide rates and to increase more families and to actually have wives. Wifeconomics.com, a great source for you to learn the qualities of being a wife before you're a wife. So you're fully prepared and ready to go. Because that's what really matters, truth be told. And then also, you know what you're getting into, and you can equip yourself with skills of mitigating a relationship through all the trials and tribulations, because these are tried and true methods that actually really work. I think that's really what our community is missing: how to be a good husband and how to be a good wife. Everybody, there's how many feminism courses are there out in college that teach you about feminism and going out there and getting it? But how many courses teach you how to have a good relationship? And that's what life is about.
Need femininity courses.
Right.
That's what we
Yeah.
really need out there.
Exactly.
Like, again, man, appreciate y'all. If y'all enjoyed the conversation, hit that like button, subscribe. If y'all not already subscribed, hit that notification bell, because I don't be on your ass about that enough. And join the membership, cop the merch. Like, you know what I'm saying?
DailyRepCrew.go.
We out here. You know what I mean?
Appreciate y'all.
That was dope, y'all.
Great episode. Great episode.
That was dope, man.